We've got some news breaking as we go. We will get into that in just a second, and it seems like we've got a goalie change. We'll get into that and much more on today's episode of Locked On Oilers.
You're Locked On Oilers, your daily podcast on the Edmonton Oilers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to the Locked On Oilers podcast. I'm your host and former Oilers game day producer, Brett Holden. Let's get right into it. As yes, there is a goalie change coming in this series. And no, it's not to the Edmonton Oilers. It is Darcy Kuemper out for Pavel Francouz. He will come in and start for the Colorado Avalanche in Game 2. What does that mean? And do the Oilers actually benefit from that? We will get into that in just a bit. Plus, what is one lineup change? There's one lineup change that I would like to see the Edmonton Oilers employ or deploy that would actually benefit the Oilers. No, it's not Dylan Holloway. I can hear you already. It's not Dylan Holloway. Plus, what do the Edmonton Oilers need to do in Game 2 to come back to Edmonton with the split? We will have all that and much more in today's episode of Locked On Oilers. And thank you so much for making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you find your podcast. Yes, the breaking news is it wasn't necessarily set in stone on whether or not Darcy Kuemper would start in Game 2. It seemed like his eye is still kind of bugging him from a couple series ago. He did say, well, apparently from some of the reports that have come out, that he had some blurry vision in Game 1, and that is why he pulled himself out of the game. Now as somebody who has had some visual impairments before, I've been stabbed in the eye with a ski pole, so I understand what not having vision is like. It's scary. It's not great, especially when you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl coming down at you at any given point. I don't have that personal experience, so hey, all the power to you, Darcy. So what that means is Pavel Francouz does make his appearance for the Colorado Avalanche. We'll start for the Colorado Avalanche in Game 2. Backing up for Colorado is Justice Annunen, and if you try and look him up on the Colorado Avalanche website, the kid doesn't exist. But he is somebody who has come over. He has had a little bit of success in the couple of games that he has played in North America. So a name that is rather familiar if you do follow some international hockey, if you watch the World Juniors at all. A guy that does have some familiarity with top hockey as well. But it's not Darcy Kuemper. And he also hasn't really faced Connor McDavid, if at all. But anyways, he's not in net. It's Pavel Francouz. So for Pavel Francouz, we've seen Pavel play. We've seen him play, and he did keep Colorado in the game, I guess, against the Oilers, but he did give up that massive lead that the Colorado Avalanche did have. At one point, the Colorado Avalanche were up 7-3, and they only won 8-6, and it seemed like at one point, the Edmonton Oilers might just pull this off. Doesn't exactly employ a lot of confidence when it comes to the Colorado Avalanche. In the last game, its save percentage was at an 8.57. So, not exactly terrific, if you ask me. 18 saves on 21 shots. So, he did allow that comeback to take place. But he did also make that massive toe save on the scramble that honestly, I think if the Oilers would have got that goal or would have scored on that, it would have been a different game. So Pavel Francouz has been able to keep, obviously, the Avalanche in the game as well. On the other side, Mike Smith, with no surprise, will get the start for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get into Mike Smith in just a second, but I do just want to talk about Francouz's numbers during the season. During the season, he did have a .916 save percentage and a 15.5-1 record as well. One loss coming in overtime as well. So not too bad when you take a look over 21 games, a .916 save percentage. Pretty impressive. 255 goals against. Again, he's playing for a team like the Colorado Avalanche. Those are going to be pretty good numbers when they were one of the best teams in the league. However, since Darcy Kuemper has had to come out of a couple games now so far, he's had one start. So already in these playoffs, this will be his second start over the next or over these playoffs here. So in the 3 games so far for Pavel Francouz, well, tells a little bit of a different story, and I'm rubbing my hands. I don't know if that's the right thing to do here, but does tell a little bit of a different story. An 889 889 save percentage for Pavel Francouz in all of the playoffs so far this year. So below that .916 save percentage, below that .900 threshold that you kind of want to hold, below that .890 even. An .889 save percentage for Pavel Francouz. Well, if you're the Edmonton Oilers and you're taking a look at that, you go, oh, hold on a second. Maybe if we just shoot the puck a little bit, we might be in action here. So, I mean, with that also being said, Pavel Francouz is also 3-0-0. That's a little bit more of a team stat, though, especially when you take a look at the 889 save percentage. On top of that, he allows an average of 3.59 goals against per game. He's at 3.59 goals against average, which if you're allowing more than 3 goals to a team like the Edmonton Oilers, yeah, that is a scary thought. So yes, Pavel Francouz does get the start for the Colorado Avalanche as well. Mike Smith back in the crease for the Edmonton Oilers. Did we really expect too much else? You can't really blame Mike Smith on that goal. Can't really on any of the 5 goals that he did let in game 1. So let the kid go again. Let the kid go again. I'm sure he'll laugh at that one. But hey, this has happened in game 1, in game of the first series. This has happened in game 1 of the second series. Obviously, Mike Smith has been known to bounce back. And like he said, maybe we just don't like game 1s. We'll see. You don't win or lose a series in game 1, as we've seen. Excuse me. So, with that in place, that is the start for the goaltenders for each side in game 2 between the Edmonton Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche tonight in Denver, Colorado. But like I said, that isn't the only lineup alteration that at least I would like to see going into game 2. And I mean, like I said, Mike Smith is starting game 2. So there, as of right now, practice is going for the Oilers, and Darnell Nurse and Leon Draisaitl are not on the ice for the Oilers, but that's basically given. We all basically kind of saw that coming. So it seems like there isn't going to be any lineup changes for the Oilers going into game 2, but I would like to see the Oilers make one. What is that lineup change? I'll let you know in just a second, but first, I want to tell you about our partners over at Built Bar, because we have been asking, everybody's been asking, and Built has delivered. Built granola bars are here. Built granola bars come in 3 unbelievable flavors: chocolate peanut butter, chocolate coconut, and white chocolate berry. Want to try all 3 flavors? Well, you can if you get the mix box at built.com right now. With 150 calories, 15 grams of protein, and only 4 grams of sugar, Built granola bars will change your world. Built has cracked the code once again to better granola, and they're perfectly healthy as well to snack your pack and pack in your lunch and put it in your backpack. So many packs, so many snacks. Oh, what could you ask? What more could you ask for? If you're waiting for a healthy and delicious granola bar to hit the market, this is your time. Head to built.com right now and get the Built granola bars Again, 3 delicious flavors to try: the chocolate peanut butter, chocolate coconut, and white chocolate berry. Don't miss out and get yours today. Head to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15, that is 15, to get 15% off your next order. That is locked 15, 15 to get 15. I put up a 2 there. 15 to get 15% off your next order at built.com. Okay. Ooh, hello. It's a wonderful Wednesday, everybody. And it's a Wednesday morning, like I said. The podcast is out a little later than it normally would. I'm recording on the morning, so I'm going to have a little coffee before we head into the next segment. Plus, hey, before we get into the next segment, we have a very important favor to ask of you. We put together a survey so we can learn more about the listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like, don't like, and what you want to hear more about from your Locked On podcast. To do so, you can head to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Okay, Locked On Podcast, excuse me. Don't go to lockedon.com. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now and get started. It won't take very long, and everyone that completes the survey can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. Yeah, $100 off, $100 gift card to Ticketmaster. So you can go and see your favorite teams in action, then come back and listen to your favorite Locked On podcast. To take your audience survey, head to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Again, lockedonpodcast.com/survey and take the survey. Thank you so much for your help, and thank you so much for listening as well. So, as I go and grab my big board on to the next segment, we go on to the second period. We go, and actually, you know what? Just before we get moving on here, I do want to just bring up the Cale Makar thing one more time. And this will be the last time, I swear. This will be the last 2 things that I mention about the Cale Makar thing before we move on to the lineup. I want to make it abundantly clear that call, the offside call on Cale Makar's third goal, or on the Colorado Avalanche third goal, scored by Cale Makar, did not cost the Edmonton Oilers the game. I want to make that clear. I don't know if too many people were able to get that through their heads, that I absolutely did not think that the Edmonton Oilers lost game 1 because of that call. However, and I think many people would agree, that it did swing the momentum going into the second period. Zach Hyman had just tied the game with 23 seconds left in the period, in a period that the Edmonton Oilers had absolutely no business in being in. And he had just tied the game going into the second period, going into the intermission. That goal by Cale Makar 9 seconds later shifted the momentum. And as we have talked about so many times, momentum is beyond difficult to come by in these playoffs. So that's all that I'm going to mention. That is the last I'm going to mention of that call. It was bad. We cannot be discussing what and what isn't the definition of possession in the third round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We can't. All right, let's move on from that. Leave it in the past, baby. Because there's so many more games to go, at least 4 more, of course, because the Oilers are going to win this series. Okay, the one lineup change that I think the Edmonton Oilers should deploy and would actually make the team better, and I think would actually potentially win the series for the Edmonton Oilers, is going back to the 11-7. Let's go back to the 11-7. Listen, we're not playing Dylan Holloway. I don't get why. I don't get it. I am not here on the train of let's not play Dylan Holloway. As we know from the last episode and even the episode on Monday, I think the Edmonton Oilers should be playing Dylan Holloway, and he will benefit if Zach Kassian, if that breakaway by Zach Kassian is Dylan Holloway, that is a different game. The Edmonton Oilers scored there, and Dylan Holloway scores his first goal in the NHL. Decent. But it seems like we're just not going to get that. Don't know why, I don't get it, but we're not going to. So, let's move back to the 11-7. Let's be honest here. Darnell Nurse, Duncan Keith, and Evan Bouchard, as we said, were three of the worst players at any point on the ice for the Edmonton Oilers. And one of them is a defensive pairing. One of them has to be on with the other one. So what do? How do you combat that? Well, you give them a little bit of support. Darnell Nurse is hurting. Darnell Nurse, his core muscle injury, you can tell that he is laboring, and he will not engage with guys coming into the zone, and he'll defer guys over to Cody Ceci, which means either Cody Ceci has more of a workload to worry about, and B, if the guys are coming in on a 2-on-1, 3-on-2 the other way, and Darnell Nurse defers the guy with the puck to Cody Ceci, well, that means Cody Ceci now has to worry about the puck carrier, the guy coming in, the trailer, basically becomes a 3-on-1.5, and that is not how you win a playoff hockey game. Again, I hate being the one that has to not hate, I guess, but rag on players because, again, they're in the NHL. I'm here talking about them in front of the camera here. But it's clear as day that Darnell Nurse is not right now the Edmonton Oilers' number one defenseman. Realistically, you could make the argument of either Cody Ceci, Tyson Barrie, or Brett Kulak, the outside dark horse in that race, being the Oilers' number one defenseman. Because they are more productive. They have done more not only on the score sheet, but in their own end, on the transition, and have helped the Oilers win in all three zones. Darnell Nurse hasn't done that for the Oilers. So what do? You give him support in the likes of Chris Russell. Put Chris Russell out there. You know exactly what you're getting from Chris Russell. You are getting 15 strong minutes, no matter what, of blocked shots, of guys. You will never make it easy on the other team. Never, never. And hey, at the end of the season, Chris Russell even had a little bit of a ripper there. What, he had 4 points in 3 games? Not bad. Okay? You know what you're getting out of Chris Russell. You don't know what you're getting out of a Philip Broberg. While there might be a little bit more upside, you're not going to play Philip Broberg for 3 minutes and then go, yeah, you know what? We did what we wanted to. However, you can go and play Chris Russell for 10 to 15 minutes and go, okay, you know what? We didn't have to play Darnell Nurse as much, so he's a little bit healthier and a little bit more spry going into game 3 in the travel day. You don't have to play Duncan Keith and Evan Bouchard so much. Plus, you give Evan Bouchard, if you don't want to give Duncan Keith a shift, you can shift out Evan Bouchard with another veteran who can go out there, work hard defensively, get him that puck, and then he can work transitionally. Then he can be more confident with carrying the puck instead of his little leisurely play up the middle of the ice, and oops, all of a sudden the puck is intercepted and back into your own end. Am I just rambling here, or does this actually make sense? The fact that the Edmonton Oilers' number 1 defenseman looked like the Edmonton Oilers' number 6 defenseman in game 1 is not a winning recipe. So, what do you do if your recipe is not really working? If you put the cake in the oven and it sinks all the way, what do you have to do? You got to put in more flour, I think. I'm not a baker either. But you got to sit there and go, well, this bake didn't bake as well as I thought it would. What does it need more of? And you go back, get the ingredients, and do it and make the cake again. Well, the Edmonton Oilers have to go back and get the ingredients and make the cake again. And right now, going right back into game 2 with Zach Kassian and Josh Archibald in the lineup, you're going to get a deflated cake and you're going to be going back to Edmonton down 2-0. Easy as that. Easy as that. So my lines for game 2 would be Zach Hyman alongside Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Evander Kane goes to the second line with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Kyler Yamamoto. Warren Fogle along with Ryan McLeod and Jesse Puljujärvi. And you take Zach Kassian out and you put in Derek Ryan and Josh Archibald. Those are your 11. Your 7 will be Darnell Nurse, Cody Ceci, Duncan Keith and Evan Bouchard, Tyson Barrie and Brett Kulak, and the number 7 defenseman, Chris Russell. Plus, hey, you get to throw in a little bit of Mike Smith, a little bit of Monica in my life. That's how that goes, right? Anyways, we move on. Hey, before we move on, I just got a whole bunch of messages yesterday going, why do you got a Brizgalov jersey up there? Why you got a Salo jersey up there? What? Am I not supposed to put up Oilers stuff? Is that not what you want? Here. It seems like soccer may be a little bit more of your go here, so we'll put up a here's an Ajax, an Amsterdam kit. We'll put up an Amsterdam kit for you. I think that's better for everybody who complains about me having a hockey jersey up here. We'll just put up a soccer jersey so then people are more inclined to watch. Alrighty, let's move on to the things that the Edmonton Oilers can do in game 2 to come back to Edmonton in game 3 with a 1-1 series split. Because there are things, obviously, that the Edmonton Oilers, in a weird game that happened to end 8-6, actually did well and that they can actually build on. And we went over some of those things in yesterday's episode, but let's refine those things. Let's look at those things and say, okay, what can we do better to win game 2? Well, the first thing that the Edmonton Oilers can do better is to shoot the puck more. We just talked about the fact that Pavel Francouz in the playoffs has not exactly had the best time. And 8.57 save percentage last game and an 8.89 over this year's playoffs. Not exactly the best. And plus, the Edmonton Oilers have now seen Francouz. It's not like he's coming in cold and the Oilers don't know who he is. The Oilers played against him last game for a duration, basically the entire second half of that game, where the Edmonton Oilers mounted a bit of a comeback, and the Edmonton Oilers actually looked good. So if the Edmonton Oilers can come in and force the issue on Pavel Francouz and shoot the puck, we might see a different story in game 2. The second thing that the Edmonton Oilers need to do, along with shooting the puck, is once they actually do get the puck past Pavel Francouz, let's lead a game for longer than 36 seconds, please. Can we, hey, even a minute? Can we hold the lead for a minute and then worry about afterwards? Let's lead for longer than 36 seconds and let's be tied for longer than 9. And maybe the Edmonton Oilers will be okay. Let's after a goal, let's play with a little bit of oomph, okay? Maybe once the other team gets scored on, they got a little bit of a, hey, let's get that one back. Hey, if we score, why don't we go, hey, let's go get the next one instead of, hey, no, we got it. Let's go. Come on, Edmonton. That was sad to see, honestly. The third thing that the Edmonton Oilers need to do to win game 2 is their outlet passes, and this will go a little bit as well along with the fourth thing that the Oilers need to do, but their outlet passes out of the zone. There was nobody open for the Oilers defenseman. At one point, I watched Duncan Keith just throw the puck up the middle of the ice, and nobody was there. I was like, oh, okay, there's an Oilers streaking behind him. He's looking for him. As the camera zooms past the Avalanche defenders, there was nobody. Like, what are you doing? There needs to be somebody open for the Oilers defenseman to make a pass to. There needs to be a winger up the boards. There needs to be a winger streaking up the middle, making themselves open and available for the defenseman to move the puck. What was that? The whole first half of the game, the Oilers had no idea how to get the puck out of their zone, which will be the fourth thing that the Edmonton Oilers need to do to win Game 4. Get the puck out of your zone. Oh my goodness, it was atrocious to watch. The first period, you're just sitting there going, oh, they're in your zone again. Oh, look, they still have the puck in your end again. Oh, yeah, no. Oh, look, another shot. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, we're about to clear. Oh, no, they stopped it. Oh, we're about to get the zone. Oh, they pinched, and it's below our goal line again. We have to get the puck out of the zone. No more little dincy passes off the boards. No more little bounce passes off the boards to yourself. Those don't work. Get the puck out of the zone, please. Please. You got to be the first to the puck. You got to be hard on the puck carrier on the boards. You can't give them anything easy at any point, or the Colorado Avalanche, one of the best teams in the league. In fact, we saw what happened with the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers were never the best team in the league. The Colorado Avalanche were the best team in the league this year. Okay? If you are not going to get the puck out of your zone, the Colorado Avalanche, the best team in the league, will take advantage and win the hockey game. Easy as that. Easy as that. Even the dog next door agrees with me. I don't know if you can hear the dog next door, but it is barking because he agrees. He goes, hey, get the puck out of the zone, Edmonton. Give your defenseman somewhere to pass, and you'll win a hockey game. All righty, everybody. What a day it has been. The Edmonton Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche. Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals goes tonight at 6 p.m. If it doesn't go the Oilers' way, they will be coming back to Edmonton on Saturday, down 2-0. If it does, we are coming back on Saturday with the split. 1-1, 6 o'clock puck drop for that one as well. We shall see you tomorrow with an entire review of the game, of Game 2, what went wrong, what might have actually went well for the Oilers, and what they can build on as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in and making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, make sure you tune in to Locked On NHL. Locked On NHL covers the playoffs like no other. Hear the latest news and opinions from local experts every Monday through Friday. It is free and available wherever you find your podcast. I hope everybody has a great one. And also, after Locked On NHL, or even after this one, make sure you stop by the Locked On Avalanche podcast and say hi. Make sure you're nice to them, because we've seen just how much hospitality they have shown to us. So once again, go say hi to the Locked On Avalanche people. Let them know what you think will happen in Game 2 and what the Avalanche can do to beat the Oilers. Even though we don't want that, maybe we can get in their heads a little bit. Anyways, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful Thursday. I think I called it Wednesday at some point, but I hope you have a wonderful Thursday, and we shall see you tomorrow on Friday and lead you into the weekend. Have a wonderful one, and everybody stay safe.